Nami observed as Ala reveled in an experience that had always been denied to her. A shadowy presence awakened inside her. In a fit of fury, she shoved Ala hard into the river, her voice laced with venom as she spat. "Witch, go to hell! Indulge yourself there as much as you please." In a time long past, hidden within the rich and lively terrains of Africa, there existed a charming village in the eastern region of Nigeria. In this tranquil village, where vibrant birds chirped and soft breezes wove through the trees, resided a couple embarking on their new adventure as husband and wife. Obinna and Adugu were their names. This charming duo embraced a vision that was as lovely and gentle as their affection for one another. Long before they stood together, pledging their love beneath the expansive branches of an ancient tree, Obinna and Adugu would lose themselves in dreams of what their future might hold. One of their most treasured dreams was to welcome a lovely baby girl as their firstborn. Obinna frequently envisioned cradling his daughter in his arms, a soft smile gracing his lips as he whispered, "I would provide her with all that she longs for." Adugu, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm, would declare, "And I will ensure her feet never touch the ground. We are both going to pamper her endlessly." The mere idea of welcoming a lovely little girl brought overwhelming happiness and excitement to their hearts. This couple was not merely thrilled at the prospect of welcoming a child into their lives. They envisioned a daughter who would enchant the souls of all in the village. They imagined a girl whose laughter would resonate through the streets, whose kindness would warm every heart, and whose beauty would be celebrated far and wide. Following their enchanting wedding, marked by jubilant dancing and melodies that resonated throughout the village, the eagerly anticipated news arrived. Adugu was expecting a child. Filled with joy and a thirst for knowledge about their soon-to-arrive little one, Obinna and Adugu chose to seek the insights of Maduka, the village fortune-teller, renowned for his profound ties to the spiritual realm. Maduka's heart bore the weight of ancient symbols, while the air was heavy with the fragrant embrace of incense. Following the execution of sacred rituals and communion with the divine, Maduka faced the couple, a tranquil smile gracing their lips. The atmosphere grew hushed as he spoke. "The spirits have favored you, Adugu. You are expecting a baby girl." This was more than just a typical news story for the couples. Joy surged through them as they received the news. Their dream was finally becoming a reality. They departed Maduka's heart with even broader smiles, their thoughts brimming with aspirations and visions for their daughter. They envisioned the future brimming with affection and joy, as they readied themselves to embrace a new beloved presence in their lives. This little girl was more than just a dream come true. She embodied their love and represented a bright future. Soon, she would bring joy to the whole village. As the days gradually approached the baby's arrival, Adugu erupted into a whirlwind of activity, brimming with excitement and joy. She found it impossible to stroll by a shop without pausing to select something exquisite and meaningful for her soon-to-arrive daughter. Adugu's heart would flutter each time she spotted little vibrant dresses, glimmering beads, and delicate ribbons. She envisioned the cuteness of her baby girl wearing them, and with every purchase her excitement intensified. Adugu purchased an abundance of beautiful clothes, envisioning her daughter adorned in them, glowing like the dawn. She selected the most exquisite beads to embellish her baby's delicate wrists and neck, along with ribbons that would softly dance in the breeze, tied in her gentle coily hair. Every piece was selected with care, envisioning her daughter as a cherished little princess. While shopping at the Boston market, Adugu frequently confided her dreams to the other women. Adugu would say with a proud smile, "She will look just like her mother, the Enenepejolu of the kingdom," implying that her daughter was destined to be exceptionally beautiful and admired by all. These words weren't merely spoken, they flowed like a beautiful melody that echoed throughout the marketplace. Adugu's enthusiasm was infectious, and before long, her unborn daughter was the center of attention in the village. Indeed, Adugu spoke of her baby with such fervor that the whole village became enveloped in the excitement. The villagers were filled with anticipation for the arrival of the little girl, envisioning her as a paragon of beauty unlike anything they had ever encountered. "We will all witness this extraordinary beauty that has eluded us until now." The women exchanged hushed words as they strolled home from the market, their day having been long and filled with toil. Their voices danced with a blend of joy and intrigue, floating through the village air like the warm scent of kindling fires igniting. With each passing day, the villagers' anticipation swelled. mirroring the moon's gradual ascent in the night sky. After months of anticipation and imagination, the long-anticipated day finally arrived. Adugu experienced the initial pangs of labor at dawn, and without a second thought, Obina tenderly scooped her up and rushed to the midwife's dwelling in the village. As they hurried through the village, a throng of women, alive with excitement and curiosity, swiftly assembled and trailed behind them. Their footsteps resonated with the excitement of finally encountering the baby girl they had all eagerly awaited. The midwife's hut emerged as the focal point of the village, with women gathering closely, their eyes fixed on the scene within, exchanging hushed whispers filled with anticipation. Anticipation filled the air, as everyone awaited the first sight of the child who was to become the village's embodiment of beauty. Yet, when Adugu finally arrived, the atmosphere in the hut changed profoundly. As she gazed upon her newborn daughter, a wave of sorrow washed over her heart. The infant, with her crumpled face and piercing wails, bore no resemblance to the lovely image they had all envisioned. Instead, she appeared quite unattractive. The sudden jolt was unmistakable, and in a heartbeat, Adugu's hopeful dreams crumbled to dust. The women who had gathered in the midwife's hut to witness the arrival of a beauty were utterly amazed. Whispers of discontent rippled through the space as they gazed upon the infant. One by one they exited the hut, their aspirations diminished. They conveyed their disappointment through a classic gesture of dismissal, snapping their fingers and exclaiming fiacqua, a term that signifies deep disapproval. As the news of the baby's arrival circulated, so too did the whispers and speculations. The whole village was abuzz with chatter about Adugu's child, who had been unjustly branded as the most unattractive baby anyone had ever encountered. Some women made harsh jokes, suggesting that if there were ever a competition for the most unattractive girl in the village, this baby would undoubtedly take the prize. Finally, we can all take a break from the endless chatter about my baby this, my baby that, another woman remarked with a hint of sarcasm, as laughter filled the air around her. Returning to their hut, the atmosphere shifted for Obina and Adugu. Every aspiration and the enchanting visions they had conjured shattered into pieces. They sat side by side, cradling their baby, emotions bubbling to the surface as they confronted the painful truth of the villagers' harsh words. The exhilaration of embracing new parenthood was now clouded by a profound sense of sorrow and embarrassment. It was a truly sorrowful day as the couple's lofty aspirations were overshadowed by the sharp ache of rejection, not only from those around them, but also from the cruel twist of fate that tested their most profound hopes. With heavy hearts filled with sorrow and disillusionment, Adugu and Obina grappled with the challenge of coming to terms with their baby's appearance. Rather than the nurturing affection that every child is entitled to, her treatment was marked by cruelty and severity. The exquisite garments, shimmering beads, and delicate ribbons that Adugu had joyfully acquired during her pregnancy remained hidden, destined never to grace the little girl. As the child they named Ini, signifying bitterness, matured, her looks evolved in ways that only intensified her parents' original letdowns. With each passing day, as Ini grew more unattractive, the cruelty of their hearts solidified even more. Adugu and Obina's demeanor towards Ini was frigid and detached. They kept their warmth at bay and seldom addressed her with tender words. Ini was treated with the utmost severity at the slightest provocation, and they seized every chance to punish her harshly for even the smallest misstep. Adugu would constantly hurl insults at her, labeling her as a wicked child and a bearer of misfortune. The happiness and anticipation that typically envelop a household welcoming a new child were overshadowed by a somber stillness that weighed heavily on their spirits. Ini, navigating through a harsh and uninviting atmosphere, bore the heavy burden of her parents' rejection profoundly. They ensured her existence was anything but cozy, yet there ought to have been embraces and joy. Silence hung heavy in the air, accompanied by piercing gazes. She donned tattered clothes while the exquisite outfits remained neglected, collecting dust in a trunk. She frequently found herself playing in solitude, her laughter and pleas for attention echoing in silence. Adugu and Obina made certain that their actions conveyed the deep bitterness associated with her name. The way Ini was treated cast a shadow over the home, where affection ought to have thrived. Bitterness and sorrow settled in their place. Ini, a young soul yearning for love and acceptance above all else, encountered a chilling indifference that profoundly influenced her formative years in a world that felt utterly devoid of warmth. Several years following Ini's arrival, Adugu and Obina found themselves on a path filled with optimism. Adugu found herself expecting again, but this time she took a different approach. Having gained wisdom from the challenging experiences with their first child, Adugu embraced this pregnancy with serene dignity and modesty. She refrained from making any grand announcements or boasts as she had in the past. Instead, she navigated her days with a serene, contemplative attitude, wishing for the best while maintaining a sense of measured expectations. When the moment arrived, Adugu welcomed a baby girl into the world, a vision of beauty that encapsulated every dream she had ever held dear about being a mother. The young girl possessed gentle features and an aura of tranquility that appeared to illuminate the space around her. Adugu and Obina were filled with an immense sense of happiness and fulfillment as they looked upon their new daughter, who embodied all their dreams for Ini. The arrival of this child infused their home with a fresh joy, enveloping it in laughter and warmth that had long been absent. Adugu and Obina sensed that they had at last triumphed over the trials and ridicule that had accompanied Ini's arrival. They were resolute in their desire to commemorate this happy event with all those who had observed their earlier challenges. With immense joy, they arranged a ceremony to celebrate the naming of their new daughter. They sought to not only commemorate her arrival into the world, but also to introduce the village to their beloved daughter, whom they named Allah, signifying a precious gem. This name captured their profound gratitude for her and the invaluable happiness she infused into their existence. The village, having experienced the couple's previous setbacks, now gathered in great numbers to join in their celebration. The atmosphere was alive with melodies, joyous laughter, and the enticing scent of delectable dishes. Friends and neighbors came together, offering gifts and warm wishes, thrilled to partake in the joy of Adugu and Obina's family. The ceremony unfolded as a jubilant celebration, signifying a shared moment of happiness and a new beginning for the family, who had at last welcomed what they had always desired, a cherished child who illuminated their lives. As Allah matured, her parents showered her with exceptional care and love, indulging and safeguarding her as though she were a rare and invaluable gem. Her parents made certain that her life was filled with ease and luxury, to the extent that her feet seldom made contact with the ground. They never requested her to lift a finger to assist around the house, wishing for her to experience a life devoid of any burdens or hardships. Allah was undeniably the center of their universe, enveloped in affection and care at every moment. In sharp contrast, Ini, the eldest sister, carried the burden of all the household tasks. From dawn till dusk, she tirelessly swept the floors, cleaned, cooked, and catered to her family, particularly Allah, who would recline comfortably, observing Ini as she moved about. Ini's existence revolved around an unceasing cycle of duties and obligations, devoid of gratitude or kind words. Her hands, in contrast to Allah's, were perpetually engaged, her brow frequently marked by weariness. Whenever Ini, exhausted and disheartened, mustered the courage to express her emotions or lament the injustice, her mother would respond with severity. Adugu would reprimand and harshly punish her, labeling her a child of misfortune, which only deepened the wounds of pain and resentment in Ini's tender heart. Throughout the years, this cruel treatment planted deep roots of resentment and isolation within her, leading to a profound animosity towards Allah, who unknowingly embodied all that Ini had been deprived of: devotion, nurturing, and maternal warmth. Allah, in the meantime, enjoyed a life filled with opulence and comfort. She donned the most exquisite attire, embellished with stunning beads and delicate ribbons. Her days unfolded in a delightful rhythm of eating, playing with friends, exploring and laughing, only to return home to even more comfort and indulgence. Her parents cherished her, bringing home delightful presents each time they went to the market, amplifying the clear disparity in the treatment of the two sisters. Ini, in contrast, seemed nearly unbeatable except when it came to tackling chores. She observed with a profound sense of sorrow as her parents showered Allah with gifts and affection, while she was met only with commands and scoldings. Her eyes were often wet with sorrow, and solitude wrapped around her like a persistent shadow. Every evening, once the day's tasks were complete, and her family had settled into their slumber, Ini would seek comfort beneath the expansive udara tree that stood proudly in front of their hut. Under the moonlit sky, she allowed her tears to cascade, the soft sobs drowned out by the gentle murmurs of the leaves overhead. As tears streamed down her face, Ini found herself pleading for an end to her suffering, yearning for liberation from the cruelty she faced each day from those who were supposed to love her. The night air would whisk away her prayers, leaving her with a profound sense of emptiness and desolation, ensnared in a life filled with sorrow and yearning for a change that appeared perpetually out of reach. As the days transformed into months and the months into years, Ini's heart became burdened with resentment and fury. She experienced a profound sense of isolation and misunderstanding, and over time, these emotions began to solidify her demeanor. Ini started to react to her surroundings with frustration, making it difficult for her to connect with other children or engage in play within the village. She frequently experienced a sense of isolation and frustration, reluctant to participate in games or exchange smiles with others. As she strolled through the village, Ini sensed the heavy burden of the villagers' sorrow. They regarded her as if she were an unusual entity that had descended from another world. The relentless scrutiny deepened her sense of isolation and left her feeling profoundly misunderstood. At times, the whispers and mockery from other children or even adults about her appearance or her responsibilities at home would spark a deep and intense anger within her. Ini's response to the teasing was quite fervent. If anyone had the audacity to mock her, she wouldn't merely raise her voice or shed tears. She would resist with every ounce of her strength, having become resilient through the labor she undertook at home. She was able to protect herself with remarkable skill, and before long she gained a reputation in the village for it. The apprehension surrounding her formidable strength and fiery temper ensured that other children maintained a cautious distance. Fearful of inciting her path, Ini discovered herself increasingly alone. This solitude enveloped her like a heavy shroud, suffocating and frigid. On a sunny morning after their parents departed for the market, they entrusted Ini with an extensive list of tasks to finish, and assured Allah that they would return with lovely gifts. As Ini got ready to head to the river for her routine morning task of fetching water, Allah came up to her with an unexpected request. She wished to join Ini by the river. Allah found herself in unfamiliar territory. Her parents, perpetually vigilant regarding her well-being, had consistently prohibited it, yet she had listened with a hint of envy to her friends, who described the river's stunning beauty and the joy of bathing in its refreshing, crystal-clear waters. Filled with anticipation, she urged Ini to bring her along. Ini, her thoughts heavy with bitterness from years of injustice, remained silent in response to Allah's request. Undaunted by the quiet, Allah eagerly trailed behind as they embarked on their journey to the river. The stroll to the river was serene. Ini's mind was a whirlwind, chaos swirling with each footfall they made. The burden of her tasks, the disregard, the solitude, and the relentless comparison with Allah surged within her, creating a powerful storm of resentment and fury. Upon arriving at the river, Ini quietly filled her water pot, her mind swirling with thoughts as tumultuous as the flowing waters. Allah, unaware of her sister's hidden struggles, found herself enchanted by the river's beauty. She chuckled and sent water flying, reveling in the thrill of a fresh adventure. As Ini observed Allah revel in what had always been denied to her, a shadow of discontent began to rise within her. Burdened by years of suppressed frustration and anger, she was abruptly seized by a mischievous urge. Before she had a chance to reconsider her choices, Ini's fury seized the moment. In a fit of fury, she shoved Allah hard into the river, her voice laced with venom as she cried out, "Witch, take a walk! Enjoy yourself and indulge in as much food as you desire." Her words were soft, a bitter outpouring of all her suffering. As Allah thrashed in the water, fighting to keep her head above the surface, Ini averted her gaze, her heart racing and her feelings a tangled blend of triumph and instant remorse. She grasped her water pot and made her way home, leaving Allah to confront the turbulent waters that were swiftly carrying her away. The weight of her recent actions started to settle in, and as she made her way back, Ini realized that her anger had led her to a grave decision, one that could bring dire repercussions for her sister. A veil of dread enveloped her, as the weight of the possible catastrophe she had set in motion hung heavily in the air. Upon returning home from the river, Ini quietly resumed her household tasks, behaving as though nothing unusual had occurred. Her expression remained serene, yet beneath the surface, a storm of emotions raged, intertwined with guilt and fear regarding her actions towards Allah. As the sun dipped below the horizon, stretching shadows across the village, Adugu and Obina returned from the market, their arms laden with treasures meant for Allah. They called out for their beloved daughter, anticipation bubbling as they prepared to present her with the delightful new treasures. Yet silence lingered in the air. They searched her familiar haunts and called out her name along the street, yet Allah was nowhere in sight. Initially they believed she had simply gone off to enjoy time with her friends, a common occurrence for her. However, as the night descended upon the village and Allah remained absent, a sense of unease began to settle in their hearts. A desperate search ensued as they moved from one home to another, inquiring if anyone had caught a glimpse of their cherished daughter. The neighbors rallied together in the search, yet no one had caught sight of Allah since the early hours of the day. In their time of need, Adugu and Obina turned to the king, hoping for assistance. Upon learning of their distress, the king vowed to assemble a group of strong young men to comb through the forest and nearby regions for Allah at dawn. That night, Adugu and Obina found themselves restless, their hearts weighed down by anxiety. The mere idea of losing their beloved daughter was unbearable to them. With the first light of dawn, the king's vow came to fruition. The search party ventured into the forest, their voices echoing as they called out for Allah, meticulously inspecting every conceivable hiding place, yet they uncovered no sign of her presence. The king had commanded them to return with Allah, whether she was alive or lifeless. Yet the hours passed without a trace of her in sight. The search party returned to the village, their hearts heavy with sorrow. Their somber expressions conveyed a depth of emotion that words could scarcely capture, even before they delivered their report to the king and Allah's parents. It was truly a heartbreaking day for Adugu and Obina. Adugu was utterly heartbroken, her tears streaming down as sorrow engulfed her. Meanwhile, Inni observed the unfolding event with a rich tapestry of emotions. She feigned ignorance regarding her sister's location, concealing her hidden truths deep within. While her parents and the villagers expressed their grief and concern, Inni stood in silence, burdened by the gravity of her choices, which deepened her isolation and compounded the regrets that plagued her troubled heart. Meanwhile, after Inni had pushed Allah into the river, the current intensified, carrying her further away, and her predicament appeared dire. The water surged with an unyielding force, propelling her towards the heart of the river, where the current roared with its greatest intensity. Just when it appeared that all hope had faded for Allah, an unexpected miracle unfolded. A mermaid, intrigued by the ruckus in her aquatic realm, emerged to discover the source of the upheaval. As the enchanting figure drew near, she was captivated by Allah's stunning allure. Even in her turmoil, Allah appeared calm and elegant. The mermaid, gentle and unaccustomed to witnessing humans in distress, felt a strong instinct to rescue her. In a fluid movement, she extended her hand through the rising water and carefully guided Allah to safety. The mermaid gently guided Allah to the shore, where she tenderly placed her on the soft sand, ensuring she was safe from the encroaching waves. Noticing Allah's unconscious state and her labored breaths, the mermaid realized the urgency of the situation, and understood she needed to take swift action to rescue her. With deft precision, she revived Allah, aiding her in expelling the water she had ingested and restoring her ability to breathe independently. Once Allah was breathing steadily, the mermaid resolved to embark on yet another remarkable journey. She understood that if Allah made her way back to shore, she could encounter greater perils, or potentially find herself drawn back to the river, risking trouble once more. In her quest to safeguard her father, the mermaid carefully selected a unique leaf, renowned for its enchanting abilities, from the riverbank. She pressed the juice from this leaf into Allah's eyes. The elixir held a mystical ability to wipe away human memories, reshaping them into creatures better adapted for existence beneath the waves. As the juice began to work its magic, Allah's recollections of her terrestrial existence started to blur and dissolve. Her memories of home and family faded gradually, giving way to a serene tranquility and a deep connection to the river. With this transformation, Allah's trepidation and uncertainty vanished. A peculiar sense of solace enveloped her as she gazed at the water, igniting a yearning to delve into the enchanting depths below and embrace a life as a mermaid, far removed from the burdens and heartaches of her former existence on land. Obina and Adugu were heartbroken over the inexplicable vanishing of their daughter Allah. The anguish of uncertainty consumed Obina, driving him to search for answers far beyond the confines of their village. Driven by an insatiable quest for knowledge, he set forth on an expedition to the far-off realm of Arachuku, seeking answers that would guide him to the celebrated for its sagacious seers. Upon arriving in Arachuku, Obina sought the wisdom of an elderly soothsayer, a figure known for his profound understanding of the secrets of the divine and the natural realm. The seer absorbed Obina's tale, his gaze heavy with a familiar sorrow. He then unveiled a stark reality. Obina and his wife had angered the gods by rejecting their initial blessing, Ini, their first daughter, condemning her existence to one of suffering and servitude. The creature you nurtured within your walls, as the oracle foretold, has summoned this calamity upon your cherished Allah. You cast aside your first daughter, treating her as if she were a servant rather than your own flesh and blood. The deities, in their profound understanding, have permitted this misfortune to come upon you as a means of instruction. The sole path to potentially encountering Allah once more, the soothsayer revealed, lay in Obina's need to amend the injustices inflicted upon Ini. Treasure her essence, no matter her appearance, heal her wounded soul with compassion and warmth, and perhaps the divine will show mercy and unveil Allah's location. Devastated by this discovery, Obina made his way home, and confided in Adugu about everything. They swiftly transformed their behavior, enveloping Ini in the affection and care she had always been worthy of. They purchased gifts for her, doubling the amount they had previously set aside for Allah as a way to atone for their past harshness. As their actions transformed, Ini's heart started to mend, and she found it within herself to forgive them, her resentment gradually dissipating. After a few weeks, Obina made his way back to Arachuku, where he received instructions to offer sacrifices to the water goddess at the river. He intended to present them with a sizable goat and 10 tubers of yam. Your daughter is secure in the river, yet the mermaid has enchanted her, causing her to lose all memories of the land. However, when you perform this action, the enchantment will activate, and she will be freed to you. Obina followed the instructions given to him. He ventured to the market and selected the finest items, ensuring he acquired the best of each one. Subsequently, he led the village healer to the river to offer a sacrifice to the goddess of the waters. He returned home, anticipating his daughter's arrival. Weeks went by, and still there was no trace of his daughter. He started to feel a sense of despair and resolved to confront his daughter Ini, committing to care for her as he ought to, interpreting Allah's absence as a consequence of their choices. Once upon a time, a fisherman ventured to the river in search of a catch. On that day, he encountered an extraordinary event unlike anything he had ever seen. As he reached the center of the river to cast his line, a melodic voice floated through the air singing, "I am Allah. Inform my father, inform my mother that I find myself in the midst of the river. Convey my apologies to my sister Ini." Fear gripped him as the voice echoed in his ears. As he pivoted, a sudden splash echoed from the river, suggesting that someone had just leapt in. Filled with trepidation, he tucked his chin and navigated his vessel towards the land. He dashed away, racing home with all the speed his legs could muster. He kept his observations to himself, afraid of being deemed insane. The following day, as he reached the center of the river once more, the familiar melody filled the air. "My name is Allah. Inform my father, inform my mother that I find myself in the midst of the river. Please convey my apologies to my sister Ini." Upon turning once more, the familiar sound of a splash reached his ears. As he folded his net, he navigated towards the shore. Leaving his boat behind, he hurried homeward. For weeks he stayed away from the river's edge. Yet, as hunger took hold, he found himself with no alternative left. He resolved to return to the river for some fishing. This time he stood prepared to confront whatever lay ahead, unflinching and resolute. Upon returning to that place, the melody reached his ears once more. He resolved to stay still, focusing intently to capture the essence of the song's lyrics. Upon hearing the song once more, he gathered his resolve and dashed to the village to tell Obina. He came to understand that this was his long-lost daughter, Allah. Upon arriving in the village, Obina, upon hearing the news, swiftly assembled the capable young men and awaited the following day with great patience. The following morning, brimming with fresh optimism, Obina and a band of villagers hurried to the river, eager to unveil the truth, and longing for the opportunity to reunite with Allah. Amidst the thick foliage encircling the river, a band of resolute men lay in wait, each gripping a sturdy rope, poised for the impending moment. With hearts racing in a blend of anticipation and hope, The fisherman skillfully navigated his boat towards the river's center, where the enchanting sound of Allah's singing had been carried by the breeze. Just as expected, Allah surfaced from the depths of the water, her voice ascending in the same eerie tune that the fisherman had recounted. As soon as she made her entrance, the men leaped into action, executing a perfectly synchronized response. They plunged into the water, swiftly seizing Allah before she could plunge back in. With their gentle yet resolute hands, they bound her with the rope, ensuring she could not slip away into the river's welcoming arms. Once Allah reached the shore, one of the men took a unique leaf renowned for its enchanting qualities, and pressed its juice into her eyes. This was carried out with a tender touch, aiming to assist her in letting go of her existence in the water, and to deter her from longing to dive back into the river's embrace. With Allah now liberated from the enchantment, the villagers joyfully transported her back to the village, their hearts brimming with happiness and relief. Her return was greeted with a chorus of cheers and tears of joy, particularly from her sister Ini, who had been burdened with regret and guilt since Allah's vanishing. As their eyes met, Ini dashed towards Allah, enveloping her in a warm embrace, with heartfelt apologies spilling forth through their shared tears. Allah, sensing the heartfelt affection and regret from her sister, embraced her in return. The connection they share is healing, becoming more resilient than before. The day was truly filled with joy for the family. Obina and Adugu embraced Allah's return with warmth and affection, their hearts brimming with love. The experience imparted a crucial understanding of the necessity of showing their children equal love and respect. They promised to improve as parents, valuing both their daughters equally, and making certain that a tragedy like that would never happen again. The whole village rejoiced in their reunion, as the family welcomed a fresh start, vowing to support one another and remain united through thick and thin. When we neglect to teach our children love by showing it to them equally, we cultivate monsters within our society. This tale conveys a deep message regarding the significant influence of love and justice in the realm of parenting. It conveys the message that every child is entitled to love and care without exception. Favoritism and neglect can create enduring emotional wounds and unforeseen repercussions that impact not just the individual child, but can resonate throughout the whole community. This narrative highlights the importance of genuine affection and equity within a family, essential for fostering well-rounded and empathetic individuals. Furthermore, it emphasizes the strength found in redemption and forgiveness, illustrating that there is always an opportunity to amend our errors and mend connections. Hey friends, we've reached the conclusion of this incredible tale, and I truly hope you found it as delightful as I did while creating it. I have conveyed my lesson. I would be eager to explore your insights in the comment section. I believe you gained valuable insights from this narrative. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please take a moment to do so. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell to ensure you receive updates whenever we share new stories. Enjoy the video. I truly appreciate your love and support. I must take my leave for now, but I look forward to our next tale together. Farewell.